has been an ongoing tussle over the legacy of Savarkar, about whether he deserves to be called a freedom fighter, whether he should find any place at all in India's Independence Day celebrations. But things really got to a ridiculous extreme when in Kerala, a little child who was dressed up as Vinayak Damodar Savarkar in a school play was stripped of the costume simply because the IUML and the Congress had a problem. Is this the level of intolerance and Savarkar phobia in the country that, far from trying to foist ideas of who Savarkar is and what should the country think of him, now even his very depiction by a child runs foul of our ideological biases?
അവിടെ സംഭവിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത് വാട്സപ്പ് ഗ്രൂപ്പുകൾ വഴി ചർച്ച വന്നപ്പോഴാണ് ഈ സംഭവം യൂത്ത് ലീഗിൻ്റെ ശ്രദ്ധയിൽപ്പെടുന്നതും അപ്പോഴേക്കും ഇതിൻ്റെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഒതുക്കി തീർക്കാൻ ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടവർ ശ്രമിച്ച് അതിൻ്റെ യൂട്യൂബ് ലിങ്കും കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ഷെയർ ചെയ്തതൊക്കെ അവർ ഡിലീറ്റ് ചെയ്തു. അപ്പോൾ തന്നെ ആ നിമിഷം തന്നെ യൂത്ത് ലീഗ് ഇതിൽ പഞ്ചായത്ത് കമ്മിറ്റി ഇടപെട്ടു. പ്രതിഷേധ ധർണയുമായിട്ട് മേലാപ്പറമ്പ് GVHS ഹൈസ്കൂളിലേക്ക് റാലി ആയിട്ട് അവിടെ എത്തുന്ന സമയത്താണ് ഇത് പൊതുജനങ്ങളിലേക്ക് ഈ വിഷയം അവിടെ എത്തുന്നത്.
ഹയർ സെക്കൻഡറി സ്കൂളിൽ നടത്തിയ
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Member of Parliament of the Rajya Sabha, Rakesh Sinha, joins us along with Syed Aslam, spokesperson of the JDS. My first question is to Faisal Babu, General Secretary of the IUML. It's just a child. What possibly could be the problem, Mr. Faisal Babu, of a child depicting Savarkar in a school play? History is supposed to be about an exchange of ideas, right? You've muted yourself, sir. All right, the jinx strikes again. Yes, Syed Aslam Pasha. What's the problem with depiction in a play?
No, absolutely not. I mean, when it comes to the freedom fighters, anyone can think or imagine they're called as a freedom fighter, that's up to them. But for us, definitely Savarkar, when his ideology talks about the Rashtra, when his ideology talks about the narrow-mindedness, doesn't believe in the inclusiveness of India, we don't definitely believe him as a freedom fighter. And I want to tell you that his ideology is definitely against the pluralism. His ideology is definitely against the inclusiveness.
But sir, the child should decide on his own. Nobody should be stripping him of a costume because you believe what Savarkar is. The child can make up his mind. He wanted to dress as Savarkar.
I completely agree to the point, but my only bone of contention is he cannot be compared with the forefathers of a freedom struggle. He definitely cannot be compared with the forefathers of freedom struggle.
But that is your point of view, sir. If Rakesh Sinha wants to compare him,
point of view,
then you can't stop him.
It is not my way or highway. It is history. It is history. I will tell you. If you want to compare the mercy petition in 1922, when Mahatma Gandhi was tried for sedition case in Ahmedabad, the judge requested him, if you want to ask for mercy, you can ask for mercy. Mahatma Gandhi said, give me the harsh possible penalty. I will not ask for mercy.
Is, sir,
in 1931,
again, this is about what you want to read about history. There is plenty now written about Savarkar as well. The thing is that when you try and foist your ideas on people, that is intolerance. Rakesh Sinha, respond. No. We should not be poisoning young minds by making them dress up like Savarkar, hence the outrage. Mr. Sinha.
I don't know this young man had read any book on Savarkar or not. Because without reading Savarkar, without knowing his idea, the perception which has been created by a section of the media and section of intelligentsia in this country to target Savarkar is ridiculous. I'm telling two important things. Savarkar had spent 10 years as Kala Pani, which is unparalleled.
9 months,
unparalleled. And 13 years he was detained in Ratnagiri. Let me say. Then I am quoting Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who said in the Constituent Assembly, kindly listen it. Those who demanded Pakistan, those who led the movement for Pakistan, they are India. Those who were opposed to Pakistan, like northwest frontier provinces, they are in Pakistan. What does it mean? Then should I call all the Muslim traitors? Should I call the Muslims of Uttar Pradesh that they should be thrown out from India? sense of history gives you the perspective of the people. And Savarkar was one of the person who led the anti-Pakistan movement. Anti-Pakistan front was created, and anti-Pakistan movement, he was leading the movement. Savarkar's perspective of the civilizational perspective of Hindu and Muslim, which exists today also. There's a ghettoization, separate living, separate way of living. What is Shariat? Shariat is not inclusive. Shariat gives the idea of exclusion. Shariat gives the idea of ghettoization. Do you support Shariat? Can you, if Savarkar is not pluralistic, then Shariat is a pluralistic. Then are you going to tell all those who follow Shariat, all those who follow Shariat, they should be banned? They should not be citizens of India? They are not following the constitution?
Answer
so
this, Mr. Babu.
Unfoldment of the idea and progressive unfoldment of the society must be accepted.
And a thrusting of ideas on, of all things, children. Isn't that what an intolerant society is?
Madam, I believe that if you go through the history of the Savarkar, we can see that undoubtedly he was the person dead against the idea of India, the idea of Indianness. What is the idea of India and Indianness? Not against Sharia, but it's not a matter into this discussion in terms of the Savarkar. So he actually a person is against the idea of Indianness. The idea of India simply means it is not a particular territory. It is a philosophy. The
but
philosophy
you
of
cannot decide, right?
The philosophy of
again, I come down to this is not just about what you think of Savarkar. The thing is that a school is supposed to be about exchange of ideas. If in an Independence Day celebration a child wants to dress up as Savarkar, he has as much right as anybody else. You cannot arm twist somebody saying, we don't like this version of history, you will not even represent this version of history. Why?
Madam, you please understand, we are discussing in terms of the Savarkar, whether he is a hero.
No, we are discussing it also in terms of your party going and protesting because a little child dressed up as Savarkar. A child. What? Surely your idea of India is not threatened by a child dressing up as Savarkar.
Madam, you please understand we have freedom of expression, so we can have any kind of differences.
Children, sir. Oh, he doesn't have freedom of expression to dress up as Savarkar. You have freedom to bully a child.
Madam, 5 times he wrote the letter apologizing
I am again
to the British
asking
people, you know.
What right do you have to trust your idea of what the right history is on a school child? Or on any school, or threatening a school?
Veer Savarkar, who gave the name Veer? He himself the name Veer.
You are still answering my question. You call your protest freedom of expression, but that child has no freedom of expression. He should be led by what you think his expression should be. Why? This is intolerance. This.
What you are talking in intolerance? What do you mean by the intolerance?
Intolerance is deciding what history should be and forcing people to kowtow to that version of history.
We have hundreds of evidence in terms of the Savarkar is not a proper nationalist, you know. He is representing the narrow-minded, he is representing the intolerance, he is representing the hatredness, you know.
Professor
India is the idea of the compassion, India is the idea of the inclusiveness, India is the idea of tolerance, and India is the idea of the
inclusion and tolerance while cancelling Savarkar and bullying children. Professor Rakesh Sinha.
Veer Savarkar is representing Hindutva.
Those who lack the sense of history and the lack of constitutional spirit, only they can speak like that. I am giving 2 important things about Savarkar. The British imperialism was not a legitimate identity. It was an illegitimate identity, so the nationalist strategy was to defeat the Britishers, not to away the Britishers. So Ram Prasad Bismil, who was in Kakori conspiracy case, Askullah Khan, both have written the petition. It is not petition that we should be freed. And 62 intellectuals from Kasi wrote the petition to the Viceroy that Ram Prasad Bismil should be freed. Does it mean that Ram Prasad Bismil was a traitor? Maharshi Arvind shifted to Pondicherry. Does it mean that Maharshi Arvind was a traitor? In fact, these people want the idea of India, PFI, Popular Front of India. The members of PFI chopped off the hands of the T.J. Joseph in Kerala. Where were they? The idea of India. What happened to the T.J. Joseph?
Not the problem of the Kerala.
Because he selected a question which was against the sentiment of a particular community.
You are
sentiment of
defending
particular
the
community.
RSS sources.
They want to create a society based on Shariat. They want to create a society where there is a ekam satyam bahuda vipra bhavanti. Do you agree that all religions are equal? And can you say that the concept of jihad is against the idea of India? Or do you agree the very concept of jihad is against the idea of India, against the pluralism?
And just by the way, sir, when we keep talking about what happens in Kerala, violence in Kerala being about RSS versus PFI, always remember Professor T.J. Joseph did not have anything to do with the RSS. His only fault was that he put one question in a question paper. Anyhow, the larger point in this entire debate is that you may have a conflicting version of what you think Savarkar stood for. But to try and impose that idea even on a school child, that runs against the very grain of what the idea of India is. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Let's hope for a more open debate and exchange of ideas. Thanks for watching.